Hello, I'm your friend Dylan, and yo, where am I? How did I even get here, yo? Hello and welcome back to Your Friend Who Likes Games. It's a podcast about playing video games, and I'm your host, Dylan Cedar. I'm here today to talk about, today to talk about a few games that I played this week. Those games being, of course, the cultural phenomenon in Pokemon Pokopia, Kirby Air Riders, and my continued time with that, and I am getting into Pokemon trading card game Pocket for the first time. More on that later. But first, some game talk. Being that this is a Pokopia episode, I want to point out and talk about it's been an interesting week with the release of Pokemon Pokopia. There has been the kind of streamer rush to get to the everything that Pokemon Pokopia has to offer, and the kind of like to get their firstness of it. There has been the media response to Pokemon Pokopia, which is interesting. I found that like folks that have to do this kind of like podcasting or journalism, I guess nobody has to, but some folks like do it a little more professionally than I do. This is a hobby and passion for me, and something that I have the freedom to do how I'd like. But I think folks that have to review games, it's interesting to hear them talk about Pokopia being such a large game that they like can't just consume it quick and like grasp what it is so that they can say what it is. And I like that. I like that the game is challenging those folks to like stay in it, and it challenges all of us, I think, to like stay in it and be in it for a while. We are in such a like fast-paced culture when it comes to games and consumption of all sorts of media, and to have a game that is massive and invites you to stay and be in it for a long time, it challenges the structure that we have in place of, I need to play this game so fast so that I can find everything I need to say so that I can put it on a podcast, or I could write this article about it. But being that it is such a big game, it's again challenging that notion, and I think that's pretty great. But more on the former point of like streamers and folks that had gotten hands on game, and just social media in general. When something is so big as Pokemon Pokopia and it's released, 2.2 million copies sold over the weekend. It also creates a response, and I've seen in the kind of more indie game community of folks that like were much like me last year that don't have a Switch 2, and it's not available on Switch 1, and I understand why, but I want to be sympathetic to that, and I know that like you all might not be listening, being that this is a Pokemon Pokopia focused episode, but I want to say that like if you are, or if you're just listening because you're generous, and thank you. I was there last year too. I even have like a picture of me in a moment where like I got the like email from Nintendo saying like, it's your turn to buy a Switch, and I could not afford it at that moment in time, and I kind of had a little fit. My wife took a picture of me on the couch with a pillow on my face, just screaming into it, because like that kind of like toxic consumerism really got to me. That pressure to purchase really got to me. And of course I wanted it, and of course the folks that are seeing everybody having a great time with Pokopia, they want it too, and I feel that's hard, and especially in a space where people connect to each other playing video games and everybody's talking about Pokopia and how much fun they're having, it can be hard, especially to like, and I'm the type of person, I'll talk about this more in detail later, I think, but that I want to be careful on social media because I don't want to see everything. And again, there is that rush of, content creators to get to the end or get to all of the features and then show them off first to kind of, I think the interesting point here is that like something this big gets used for clout. Like it gets used to get attention to whatever project or channel or profile you have going on. And that might sound hypocritical here as I'm making a podcast about it, but this, some of you may have noticed too, I've kind of had like an identity crisis with this podcast of like, what is the tagline? What is the structure? And I think I'm zooming closer into that. And you may have heard me earlier say this is a podcast about playing video games. And that's basically it. It's I play the games that I have access to and talk about them. And not only that, but like the games that I'm interested in, and I happen to be relevant this time around, but I'm not always. It's I think the interesting fight back that I've seen on social media for folks that cannot afford a Switch 2 or just don't have the means right now is there's been a curation of like indie games to play instead of Pokopia, and that can cause a little bit of guilt for someone like me that has obtained it. But if that's a selfish thought, I like that, because that's basically what I did last year. If you have been listening to the podcast or see the kind of catalog from last year, it's just that was me finding any other kind of indie or anything I had access to that provided some joy in times when everybody was playing the new Mario Kart, and when everybody was playing, not everybody, but when the gaming community that are interested are playing, it feels like everybody, of course. That's the hardest part. It feels like everybody but you is enjoying it, and you're not alone in the fact that there are some folks out there that don't have the means and don't have a Switch 2 and are not there yet, and maybe it might be hard to hear now, but I think we can find solace in. Like, I have yet to play Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I feel pretty okay about that in this moment of time. Last summer, if you told me that, I would tell myself to shut up, and you don't understand. And of course, it's painful then. But I think sometimes it's nice to play a game outside of the hype. And I know it's hard to wait. So forgive me for being hypocritical in this space where I'm going to talk about Pokopia today, because I was fortunate enough to have access to it, and I'm not trying to brag about that, but instead just say like I was not in that place last year with the new flashy thing, and yes, it hurts. So I hear you, I see you, and if you skip the Pokopia section or this episode in general because of that, like I said before with the Switch 2 episode I did, that is completely understandable. So yeah, interesting week with like not only media, but like streamers and the kind of race to play, and then, conversations around it where, I saw someone post, what did she post? It used the like Pokemon font to say it's not a competition. And I was like, yes, thank you. And it's, just allowing ourselves to play a game that is like that and take our time with it, because, it's a long haul, and I'll talk about that shortly. But some more game talk. It's been interesting. I'm a millennial. I am nearly 35 years old, and I am not necessarily a person that has gotten into, and it's taken me a very long time to get into the idea of watching video games. I'm a person that was like, we play video games. That's just it. That had not been my, upbringing at all. And my sister is a little bit younger and is a part of that generation where streaming and watching somebody play video games is a thing and a form of entertainment. And I've kind of found an antidote for myself, and I'm sure this is not new to a lot of people, but for me, like, I find this sometimes where in the games I'll talk about today in this regard are Sea of Stars and A Space for the Unbound. There are just some games that I think about all the time, and I will feel a sense of nostalgia for them. It might be the Sea of Stars like mobile coming, like I had talked about that, and I was like, ooh, Sea of Stars, maybe I should play that again, and it kind of planted a scene in my brain. And I instead recently, like when I had some time, just like watched some, or when I was kind of like tired of, playing, I watched some playthroughs of both of those games, A Space for the Unbound and Sea of Stars. And that is enough to kind of fill that nostalgia cup without having to play through the whole game. I think sometimes, and I talked about this with the little Stardew Valley section a couple episodes ago, where like I can feel the work ahead of you, or the like 40, like if I were to boot up Sea of Stars, I would like feel the 40 hours ahead of myself and just be like, ooh, I don't know if I want all that responsibility. And what's nice about watching a game is you get the vibes, you get the soundtrack, you get the visuals, you get the movement, you see what's happening, but you void yourself of any of the responsibility in the game, which is a really interesting thought that I had. I was like, so I'm revisiting it visually, which is what I want to do, because when you're thinking about a game like that you've already played, you want to see it and you want to feel it, and it's nice to do that in a snippet and then like move on. Like I didn't watch a whole playthrough of Sea of Stars. I didn't watch a whole playthrough of A Space for the Unbound, but what I did do was like I just found them on YouTube, which is a great resource. Again, like you all know, you all know that. Here's I'm showing my age, but it is a great resource where those things are available. You can just watch a game being played, and then for me, it just I fill up on that. And I was thinking, I was like, why wouldn't I just want to watch all video games then? Why do I need to play them? And I think discovery is such a big part of video games. Like the first time you do anything in a certain game is the magic. Like that's the part those are the parts I'm here to talk about most times. And I think that is, the reason why I would rather play something before I watch it. Or, sometimes I'll watch gameplay just to see what it's about and then be like, okay, I need to stop because I definitely want to play this and experience it for myself. But if I know that I've already experienced it, then it's nice to just revisit with a playthrough and watching on a playthrough. So now the other side of that coin, and in regards to watching, is I noted that like a past me is curious and interested in the game Marathon. I know a lot of people are playing it, and extraction shooters are big, but it is just a game that does not fit the structure of my life right now, or won't for a very long time. So forcing myself to try to play a game like that is just not going to happen. And therefore I put myself aside and said, like, let's celebrate anybody and everybody that gets to play that game and is enjoying it. And let's just watch some gameplay. And I did. And frankly, that was enough to say, okay, like I really don't want to play this. Yes, it looks cool. Like the gameplay looks tedious in my mind. But the vibe and the aesthetic is really cool. And watching like 15 minutes of that on YouTube was enough to check that box in my brain and say, I'm good with not. And that was completely free. So in regards to, consumerism and whether or not you're purchasing something, you all, and this, I'm preaching to the choir here, I'm sure you all already know this, but like, again, YouTube is a great resource. And I think I'm saying it here so that in my brain I go, let's try that some more in the future. Some other game talk. I didn't realize Deep Rock Galactic Survivor was on mobile. I have played the like free part of it a few times, and I think I might pick it up. It fits perfectly into mobile, being like in your hand and you can move around with one hand. Any mobile game you can play with one hand, check. That is a win. And in that note, Ball Pit came out on mobile, and I had hyped it. I had talked about it and was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Ball Pit in my hand, or in one hand and playing. No, sorry. It's sideways, which is so surprising to me. I get it, because that's the orientation that is on, a Steam Deck or anything that you're playing on. It's in that like horizontal screen. So like instantly as I like booted it up, I saw like the Devolver logo sideways, and I was like, oh no. And yeah, you can try it for free, of course. I think it's like $10 otherwise. And I'm looking through the settings. I even reached out to Devolver on Instagram and was like, hey, is there a like vertical orientation? Maybe like one-handed? And I think I'm not alone in that. I was kind of expecting that. Like when Ball Pit Mobile was announced, I was like, cool, let's play this in one hand and have it be kind of hands-free, but like, maybe your character just like stays in the middle or moves automatically, and then you get to like decide the angle. No, it seems like for now at least it's just sideways in the way it is on a Steam Deck, which is kind of a bummer because I was like, that would be another way to play it, and not necessarily have it just be the same experience just on your phone. But like I said, with Sea of Stars and other mobile games, it might be the only place that folks can play them. So that's cool. If you haven't checked out Ball Pit and you don't have another way to play it, it is on mobile now, but it was not the vertical orientation, one-handed phenomenon that I perhaps expected. A couple other things I want to shout out, and I met a connection on Instagram, goes by DJ Stormageddon, and if you're listening, thank you. Their name is Matt, and they're a part of a podcast called Fun and Games Podcast, and I had posted about Eastward recently, and they reached out and was like, I love Eastward. And they had a chance to speak with the composer of the Eastward games, Joel Korolitz. And I listened to that episode. Again, Fun and Games Podcast. I think where most places you can find your podcasts. I was listening on their link that they have to, I forget what it's called, but it's basically just a website that can host all of the audio, but I listened on Spotify as well. But it was so cool to hear an interview with Joel Korolitz. And if you haven't played Eastward, please consider playing Eastward. It's one of my all-time favorites. And what else was I going to say? Just the soundtrack is incredible, and to hear the thoughts behind that was really cool. So another video game podcast for you called Fun and Games. Check out if you are interested. And the last thing I'll talk about here in Game Talk was I recently announced was some Dave the Diver DLC coming in June, in which it's called In the Jungle, and it looks like it has some like duck hunt game modes. It's got like dateable characters, and seems like Stardew Valley like walk around, do stuff. So it looks to be a departure from, or I mean, like the same gameplay probably in a variety of ways, but it might be interesting to revisit that game. I don't know. I never finished Dave the Diver. I liked it a lot. I think I just got tired of the repetition, or the kind of like, okay, dive deeper and go do this one run to find one thing, and if you didn't find it, too bad, try again. It has some tension to it that like isn't incredibly inviting, and sharks freak me out, so that might have something to do with it. But coming out in June, Dave the Diver DLC. I think that's enough game talk, and I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk about Pokemon Pokopia. See you soon. Okay, Pokemon Pokopia. Here we are. I am kind of glad I got the preamble out of the way in regards to all of the kind of culture surrounding this game. If you haven't played Pokemon Pokopia, and you don't want to know specifics, I'm going to say this won't be completely spoiler-free. I would say maybe this section assumed you have also played. I am probably like 10 to 15 hours in, to give you a kind of play context of where we're talking here. So, like I said earlier, sold 2.2 million copies in its first 4 days. Pokemon Pokopia is a very big thing right now, obviously compared to Animal Crossing. I don't know if I want to go too deep into that, but, it's the obvious ones. And if I talk about like what this game is, it's the folks that made Dragon Quest Builders, and they have basically made like, this game is Pokemon meets Dragon Quest Builders minus the combat, and, a sort of Animal Crossing like create this town and have everybody live in the same place. It's been interesting that, a lot of media have been surprised at how good it is, and a lot of people are surprised at how big it is. It is the highest rated Pokemon game of all time as of late. Really great reviews early. So that just kind of sealed the deal. Like for me, the anticipation of this game was the reason for me to get the Switch 2, among other things. Like, obviously I wanted to play a lot of the exclusives, but knowing this was coming in March, I was like, yeah, I think that's going to be huge. And it is. It's a very, very big deal, and a very, very big game. But off the bat, I felt like, Pokopia was unbelievably cute. I like the intro with the Ditto pretending to be a human, and then like thinking of its trainer. You are in this world where it is, a kind of dilapidated world that is void of all life for the most part and humans, and you find this Professor Tangrowth that is wondering where all the humans went, and then you are then very quickly tasked with rebuilding the world in a variety of ways. And so a lot of you have probably seen and known like what's going on with this game is you meet Pokemon. You create little habitats for them to pop up in, and then you collect them in that way for your town and place, and they help you out with a variety of techniques and abilities that will help you, water the dried up grass or pull up grass or till to plant things, or Hitmonchan pretty early can help you out with Rock Punch, and then you are able to kind of terraform everything. And this game does a really it's interesting. It's almost a little overwhelming at first, but I kind of got the hint that like, oh, this game wants you to like run quickly. Like it gives you all of the tools you need very quickly to like go and build and just kind of have the freedom to play. It's nice that, with this kind of world, there's a bit of lore to it that you can kind of uncover, where there are these either like magazine clippings or data tablets that have like remnants of the past, and there's a hint that like some sort of evacuation from the humans and maybe a natural disaster, or I'm kind of thinking maybe like something Pokemon related, like some big legendary Pokemon, something caused this big uproar to happen, and then now we are void of life. But there is evidence of what was everywhere, and I think that is such a cool concept to be a part of, where you are tasked with like rebuilding this world however you would like, but there are all sorts of like hints and suggestions of like what you could do. There's buildings that are broken apart that have various pieces of furniture in them. Then you become resourceful by collecting any of the stone and the wood and all of the like broken pieces that are around, and you just get to use all that. Like anything you punch and get rid of with your Rock Punch becomes a pocket item and a square of sand, grass, dirt, whatever you would like, brick, and you can place it nearly anywhere. And that freedom is really cool and overwhelming to some. I think for the vastly creative, I think this game, they just eat that up. For the hyper organized person, I think this game can be a little hard maybe, but it's sounding like not. I was listening to the Min-Max podcast, and folks, there's a member on there that talked about how they love to like decorate and just kind of take any piece that the game offers you and then find a home for it all. I personally have a hard time for that. With that, I get to this like, oh my goodness, my pockets are so full. Like, what do I do with all of this? And then I just like throw it all haphazardly into like a storage bin, and then those get full, and then I'm like, then what do I do? So it behooves you, or behooves me, I should say, to look into my pockets and say, let's find a home for that umbrella. Let's find a home for that chair. Let's find a home for that plant. And then think about like where it might fit appropriately. And what's cool with that is you do get a variety of like unique items that can be a little specific and have some personality. And with the varying Pokemon that you meet and, the personalities that they have, you might instantly be like, oh, Slowbro would really like that umbrella, so I'm going to go put that by their house or in their environment, or habitat, I should say. Or Hitmonchan might like that tire because they're a gym bro, so I imagine the like flipping of the tire kind of thing. So that's been kind of cool to think about, like with items, and it takes some patience, because you might, and I often like will log in, I have a million things in my pocket, and then I have a Pokemon run up to me and was like, hey, Ditto, and I just named mine Ditto because that's what the Pokemon's name was, but like, hey, I have this for you, or hey, did you think of this? And it's kind of like you can ignore, and it's not, you don't get punished for that. Not all of the Pokemon that you have in your area will come bombard you, but usually like one off the bat just to get you beautifully distracted. And I think that's kind of a key sauce to this game, is like there are so many things to do and so many tasks to complete that it distracts you by being like, oh, like I'll go pick up that shiny thing from the river, even though I was on my way to go do said thing. And then I'll pick up that shiny thing, and that shiny thing, is something that I can get appraised by Professor Tangrowth. So I should take that to him. So I'll run and take that to him. And then instantly I have forgotten what my original task was. So that's what keeps you in the game. And then you forget what you were doing, and then you remember, and then you go do that thing. And then I think that's kind of the point. It doesn't feel gross. I think some games like that with those kinds of loops like make you feel like you're trapped in it, or you feel punished for not doing particular tasks. But you get to do this at your pace. Like you get to play this game how you want, as much as you want, like however you want. And I think that's really great. And there are like a variety of ways I have played it. I think there are times I log in and I go, okay, I want to clean things up. I want to make some areas neat. I want to slow down and look at like one little corner and say, what is the best possible like appearance that I can make in this particular area? And I'll just do a little bit of that. Or sometimes like I don't want to do that at all. Like I don't want to do any sort of decorating nor collecting, and I just want to explore. And that's available because as I've mentioned before, like there are parts in this game, or there is the main part of this game that you start in and you're like, oh, this is cool. This is big. Like I have all this area. And then as you unlock certain abilities, you realize, oh, it's even bigger. Like it's bigger than what you originally thought, or what you thought the walls of the game were. And you get another area on the other side of the wall. Whoa, amazing. And then you get another area on the other side of that wall. And then you're like, whoa, there's a beach over there. Like it's huge. And then there are other areas like that are like you enter like a loading screen essentially, and those are just as big. And apparently there are multiple of those, and I've only found the first one. So yeah, like it's huge, and it's fun to be able to explore. And then sometimes I log in and go, I want to make my Pokemon happy. I'm going to ask them how their comfort level is, and then they'll tell you, I'd like a decoration, or I'd like a toy. And then it kind of prompts you to make the best possible environment for them. And then you have a rating in the kind of PC by the Poke Center that tells you like what your rating of each of the environments is. So, if they're average, nice. If there's iffy is one, and then like either they don't have a home yet, or they haven't been assigned a habitat yet, or it's just bad and not what they need. So plenty to do, but no inherent punishment if you don't, other than like a poor rating, or there's nothing that like you're not like juggling as much. Nothing's like the grass doesn't like dry up if you forget to water it. There isn't like a time clock on all of that. So it reassures you that the work that you put in will stay and be okay. As long, and it becomes this like beautiful, like visual documentation of your time spent into the game. A lot of early on, like the first thing you do is meet Squirtle, teaches you water, like a water gun, and that creates this plus sign to get you to water the grass. And that is your first step in saying, this is my land. This is my land now. Yikes. Oof. Didn't like that. But this is, I'm going to stake my claim here and be able to, that's not even better. Regardless, it's yours, and you get to kind of design it and beautify it the way that you would like. I love how, like, with Pokemon licensure, this game has plenty of traditional Pokemon things, like the little charms that happen when like you heal, or the the little charms that those all the little sounds that we're very familiar with not only like the menu clicking and the like beady boops that happen when you obtain something exciting. All of those are still there. There's plenty of Pokemon music that has been recontextualized for this game to have like a softer kind of essence to it. Even like the Pokemon font that I think we found in like Sword and Shield and maybe earlier games, that kind of officialness is still there. And it feels like with the collaboration, they allowed these folks to like run with the canon. Letting Pokemon talk in general, I think, was a really huge move and makes it really fun. Gives the Pokemon personality and makes this a very social game. I think otherwise it would be pretty alone. You'd feel very, very lonely otherwise. But it, like, talking Pokemon, I think, like, shocked me when I first saw the announcement for the game, but it makes so much sense, and I can't imagine the game any other way. But, even the writing is, like, really charming and cute. I hinted at earlier with my buddy Magikarp saying yo all the time. Hilarious as they flop around the island or the land. So I mentioned the internet earlier, and that has been an interesting navigation of social media while this game has come out and is, in the zeitgeist. I am on there's two sides to it. I think is like, one, I want to be careful not to spoil anything for myself, and even like listening to podcasts about it and hearing people talk about like various parts of the game, like I had felt like, yeah, maybe I didn't want to have certain things spoiled, but on the other side of the coin, I think like it's motivating to know certain things can happen in the game. So again, this is the part where I might say specific things about this game that you might not want to hear yet, but if you're into it, here you go. I listened to Into the Aether, and they talked about Pokopia, and Brendan Bigley had talked about how like there are bigger like sections of this game, and there are multiple ones of them. And for me, I was like, man, I wish I would have discovered that, but maybe like not knowing would not motivate me to do so otherwise. Or seeing folks on like social media post about the like railway systems that you could create. It's like, I didn't know that could happen, but it's cool that it can. Or just various Pokemon that like people have found. I could view that in two ways. Like I could be like, oh, thanks. Like I didn't get to experience that myself. But like really that community of like, oh my gosh, can you believe that this is in the game? Like it does motivate me to want to find various Pokemon, or just like it's cool to know how big it is, because then it motivates me to play more. It motivates me to explore and dig more into it, knowing that you do have that connection then to other people that are playing the game and experiencing it as well. And no matter what, when you play a game, the way that you play it is going to be different than anyone else does. So, yeah, looking forward to all of that stuff. I'm certainly not racing to get to various parts of the game, but like it's cool that all of it exists, and it for me will certainly be a long haul. I'm sure this is not the last time I will be talking about it. And with that, like sometimes I find like I'll find certain areas and go like, okay, obviously they're pointing me in the direction of like this brick road could get fixed. Or here's like half of a house that is, broken walls and has some furniture in it, and implies that you could, fix it up. And with a couple of those things I did, and then other things like I think more adamant creative people will like wipe all of that and just be like, I'm going to build this instead. And I could see kids especially that have a lot of like that creative mental energy, like, or would be more willing to do that. And for me, frankly, like sometimes it's nice to like fully decorate something. I think if I can look at a spot and say like I can fully resolve and polish this area, I'll do it. But there's just like I've mentioned, the game is huge, so there's so much to it, and I can't quite see myself right now, at least, looking to polish everything. And I kind of like the like narrative of we're building this community the best way we can, and we're using resources that we find, and it is kind of this post-apocalyptic. So like, you know, it's creating beauty with what we have. And I'm okay with some of the bricks being a little broken. I'm okay with not everything being finished. And I don't need all of it to look perfect and fine and complete. And I think in that way it becomes, for anyone playing this game, like a metaphor for creativity, a metaphor for art, where I think of like myself, my wife, and maybe like other creative people that I know, we all have different approaches to our creativity. And I think for me, my own art style, and if you're watching, you might see behind me, my own art style and the way that I make is very loose and accepting of mistakes and accepting of imperfection, and it just has that like honest, raw, and real feeling to it. While other people really like to like plan and execute and make sure that it looks perfect with time and attention. And I think different people will play this game in different ways, where the more organized, the more planning, the more careful person will take their time with that and make sure that everything is neat and orderly, where a more maybe accepting and free-flowy kind of person like myself might be like pretty okay with just like not decorating everything. And I'm just kind of letting myself naturally decide like what needs done and what can wait. And being that I think it's easy to say that this game could be the next, 300-hour plus game that I'll be playing. It's all there for you to decorate when and if you're ready. So, right now I think a lot of people, myself included, are interested in where this story is going. And obviously like decorating here and there and doing that part of it. But the mystery of like what happened to this Pokopia land, especially with snippets of lore that are found within not only physical location, but the journal entries that you get. It's interesting to see, like, and it's pulling you along. And in a game like this, I don't think I expected to have such a narrative to it. I think I thought like, oh, it's going to be cute. You find Pokemon and then you get to decorate like Animal Crossing, right? But this has like a strong written narrative to it that pulls you along in the way that like the humans were here and now they're not, and you as the Ditto are finding more Pokemon and rebuilding this community. But what happened to the humans? Where are all of our trainers? So I don't know. Ooh, this is big too. That, I mean, you may have noticed this, you may not have noticed this, but I didn't realize early that the environments that you create, like you can move Pokemon to different environments as long as you recreate that environment for them in a different place. Because just the way that the tutorial worked, like it kind of gets you to make the environments like all pretty close together. And my goodness, I had like Squirtle on top of Scyther on top of Hoothoot, and like just they were all like clustered in one area, and it was kind of driving me nuts. And especially where like the crafting tables, like the first one you get, it's all like compact in that first area. So I wanted to spread folks out. I wanted to get some Pokemon in areas that they can have their own space. So that is a possibility. You just create, like I said, you get a, what's it called, a Habidex in your Pokedex that shows you all the habitats that you have discovered and ways that, the ones that you have successfully created and the ones that you have yet to create. So you can, pull them up and decide, and it shows you like which Pokemon go with which one. So you see Squirtle's habitat and you're like, I want to move them there. And sometimes the Pokemon themselves will say, hey, this is really nice, but like, could you move me to this other area? And it feels better for me to have them spread out to where they each have their own little like outdoor section, and I get to visit them, within the this very like sprawling outdoor town. And another thing that Into the Aether brought up was this kind of divide between like being like making houses outside or I'm sorry, like making houses or just making their environments outside. And Brendan had mentioned like how he prefers to maybe have like just like an outdoor sprawling Pokopia. And I feel the same way. Like other than, he said that some folks online had mentioned how it's like more ideal for Pokemon to have their own house and you can put things that they like on the inside of it. But like, I want to see them. Like I want to run around and see the Pokemon. I don't want them hiding inside of houses. So it's cool to have, for me, and I don't really care about their rating it that much. That might be cruel, but as long as they have a decent place to live outside, I am happy. And hopefully they are too. Oh, this is something of note, because this is a multiplayer game, and I was curious, like, knowing, like, Animal Crossing New Horizons, like, one island per Switch, right? So, like, with that, like, no matter how many profiles, like, they all lived on the same island, and there was, like, the main person that started the game becomes, like, the host, right? But in this game, I was curious, and my wife had given it a little bit of a try for the tutorial part, and I was like, is it just gonna make her character like a ditto that is on my island? And the answer to that is no. So like every profile seems to get an island. I don't know if there's a max of 8, but their own save file and their own space to navigate, and I think that's really cool. So but I know there is like multiplayer in which you can invite people to your, I'll call it an island or your area, your Pokopia, and you can go to theirs, or you can go to like a dream island together and play together. So there are multiple ways to do so, but I was curious of like what was the protocol per Switch, and that is the truth of it. Oh, I really liked too, like the interaction with Pokemon and like having reasons to rely on them. So like you have to obtain lumber by giving like big logs to Pokemon that can use like a certain chop feature, and you give them logs and you say, hey, could you make some lumber for me? And they're like, you got it. Then come back a little bit later and I'll have it for you. And if you come back like a little bit later, your Scyther or any other Pokemon that can do that would be like, hey, I'm not quite done yet, but like here's a couple that I have finished. And I just like that quality of life thing is really nice to like just program that into where like no matter what time you show up, they're kind enough to give you the lumber that they've finished, especially like if you're getting kind of grindy and have like a bunch and you give a ton to them and it takes a while for them to complete, then you don't have to wait until the very end of them being done making the lumber to get something and then, potentially go craft with it. But, asking a Charmander to come light a fire for you, or asking a Bulbasaur to help plants grow, like that's something that your Ditto cannot do. So you have to like rely on your buddies to help you with that. And it's cute and it's awesome. And the way it works is really nice. Like you just go talk to them and say, follow me. And then as long as you're in the vicinity of whatever needs done, they will just say that they got it or they can help, and they just do it. So really nicely programmed in that way. Something I didn't expect is like Pokemon do like travel away from their habitats to come hang out with others. So like they don't just stay in their habitat. I almost expected it to feel almost like a zoo where it's like, this is your habitat, this is that Pokemon's habitat, and then the Onix, they stay over there. No, not quite. Like they all come hang out, and you'll just see them floating around and interacting, which is great. It creates a life to this game, and it creates these moments that I think a lot of people are having fun with, just noticing like what they're doing, talking about, or kind of working together. And not only that, but for me, it makes me okay with like ignoring them, like because they're competent and fine on their own. Like it's not all like they're not all serving the Ditto, even though they are, but like they're all doing their own thing, so they don't need you. They have some independence, is I guess what I'm saying. They don't necessarily need you to interact with them, but they are there to be interacted with. But yeah, I think that's really nice, because then if you have something to do, they're all hanging out, laughing, having a good old time. Cool. You as the kind of parent of the area are just like, I'm gonna go do my thing instead, and yeah, that's good stuff. I like that the little store icon has like or the store has like daily items, so it has like an incentive for you to show up and like log in every day, because then there's like a new item that wasn't there yesterday and it's only available on that day. And I'm sure there's like a loop of that, but very much like Animal Crossing, I think this game wants to be in your life for a long time. And it's, I see it in my daydreams, like spending time in this like beautiful world. I, see it and think about it. So, I'm pretty okay with it being in my life for a bit. But I think I am excited to kind of push past this like rush or this kind of like fast zeitgeist and just kind of, and I think I already have, just kind of like settle into it and take my time and see where it goes. So my game time has primarily been like late at night, which is, dark and a very like minimal music and kind of has the quiet of the night implied. And, as I've taken some opportunities to play during the day, I've noticed that the music is much more lively, but very much like Animal Crossing 2, like each area or each time of day, which is adjacent to the time in real life, each time of day has appropriate music with it. So the daytime is very lively, evening feels very reflective, and then nighttime is very minimal to allow the kind of quiet of a nighttime atmosphere, but really beautifully done. A note to read and check out the store's inventory. There are bigger bag sizes available to carry a bunch of stuff if you would just read what they are. I thought they were just like handbags and backpacks, but they actually have a function. So if you need a bigger bag size, those are pretty affordable early, and you can carry a lot more stuff. So note from someone that took way too long to discover that. So there you go. And I think maybe the last thing I want to say about Pokopia in regards to the release and like and I think I'm not alone in this, thinking that like this game is such a quality Pokemon game. Like the collaboration between the studios is a clear benefit here, and it's interesting to think about like they kind of have this like yearly churn out of a Pokemon game, whether it be a spin-off or a mainline game. And you all know I've had a great time with Pokemon Legends ZA as of late, and I think that's a quality game too. But like this just feels like Pokemon Legends ZA is like, this is a quality game for a Pokemon game, right? This is like a quality game, period. Like for people that are not playing the Pokemon mainline series or maybe forgot about Pokemon for a long time and are now like reinvited to come enjoy it again, like in this setting, in a place that doesn't have battles and doesn't have the need to go catch any of them, but just this cute place to exist in. I'm curious of like how that came to be, because it seems like and maybe the Switch 2 is like what's needed. I mean, Winds and Waves looks amazing, and maybe we'll all have our lips sealed shut then in regards to how bad Pokemon games can look and perform. I feel like a lot of people have just like played and tolerated a lot of the games, and this one is just like quality through and through. So being that this is a big moneymaker, does that prompt, the Pokemon company to say, maybe we collaborate more often? Maybe we give some canon to, or some our IP to other studios that are already successful, and will make something continually amazing. But there is, I think that's really tricky, because the mainline Pokemon games, I think Game Freak and the like have their own intentions with those, and like a tradition to kind of stay in. Not unfortunately, but like it's unfortunate in regards to creativity. I think the Pokemon fandom is a big expectation for like a lot of people that play. So I'm sure it's hard to appease and satisfy everyone when it comes to making a game like that. But I also know that like Pokemon games have been kind of notoriously underfunded and rushed. So, again, just like how did this one happen then? Probably because it's not a mainline game, so it's different. But the numbers don't lie in regards to how successful this game is and the amount of people playing it and engaging with it. So, yeah, that's Pokemon Pokopia for now. I'm going to talk about 2 other games for the rest of this episode, and I'm sure we'll be back to, or maybe not. I don't know. Like it right now, I kind of feel like okay, settling in, and I don't know if I don't know. I don't need to define how I'm going to play video games next week. As you all know, every episode is different. So, yeah, we'll just see what happens. When I come back after a quick break, I'm going to talk about my continued time with Kirby Air Riders. See you soon. All right, Kirby Air Riders. It feels cool to have gotten to the end of the road trip mode. Really beautiful, like, navigation of varied spaces that you are kind of like traveling on this vertical path and making your choices of which gameplay options you are going to play in short snippets and then continue on the road. And what's really surprising, I think, about this game is its replayability. Like, it shows you evidence of your road trip in the kind of map that you have while you're playing road trip, and like all of the different areas or like roads and places that you hadn't gone to on your first road trip. So it's then motivating to play it again. And not only that, but like the collectability of this game is very fun and motivating to not only collect like machines, but stickers and hats and all sorts of customization stuff. Or just like you have this like big visual checklist that creates a big like epic picture. Like so every little thing that you do in regards to your checklist or challenge, it gets slapped onto this bigger puzzle. And then, so, as you accomplish, you are building this puzzle piece by piece into one big picture. And that's motivating to me. I love that sense of accomplishment, and some of them are easy enough to get, and some of them are a bit more challenging. And some of them you don't even realize you're doing, and then you just do them and you're like, cool, good for me. In each section of the game, or each like play style, or each mode, I should say, has their own puzzle. So you have like your road trip one, you have an air ride one, you have an online one, and you have the city, I forget what it's called. There's like the city activities, and then top ride. So it's been cool to kind of dip into each of those individually, like based on what I feel like playing, and will kind of see, like, it's nice, like if you have unlocked a puzzle piece already, the puzzle piece will be like on that grid, and then the spaces next to those puzzle pieces will tell you an additional challenge that you have to complete. So it could be like complete a race on this track without boosting at all, or complete a race on this track without getting any items. So those ones are a little bit harder, but some of them are pretty easy to come by, like complete a lap in under a minute, or yeah, like I said, some of them you recognize whether or not you have to do it, or sometimes they just pop up. But not only that, with like the completion of the road trip mode, there is a new game plus that offers a new difficulty, which is, so I played, there's the easy, normal, hard, and then you unlock a super hard. So super hard, I haven't found impossible in regards to like the gameplay part where you are playing. Like, it's definitely harder, but it's not impossible in regards to like the races or the activities that you do. But what is hard is like the road trip structure. So with road trip on easy, normal, or hard, you get to retry any of the events that you have completed. Or have tried, I should say, not completed. So if you try one and you fail it, then you get to retry, and you spend some of your road miles currency, if you have it, to like retry the activity, and you just do that. But on super hard, it will not allow you to do that. You are not allowed to retry anything. you're allowed to start over. And I talked about that last episode, like the difference between retrying and starting over. Retrying is like the activity that you just failed, you get to try it again. Starting over is starting from a checkpoint. And then in super hard, there are no checkpoints beyond, I think you get one at the halfway point of like one stretch of road, which is like multiple events. I think there's like maybe 8 to 10 events, and then at the very end. So super hard challenges you to be consistent like throughout and to have a playthrough that in which you don't lose. So it's like a rogue like in that way, where you are just like, I have this whole area or a level essentially. I have a level and I have to get through all of these sequences successfully. So it's been interesting with the New Game Plus. You get to transfer all of the machines that you got the first time around, and you get to not only do that, but you transfer like all of your currency, which is nice. But then like you can, choose your difficulty, choose your character, and restart. So I actually did two. So I was curious about super hard, so I gave that a go, and I stuck with Kirby because I was like, well, if I'm doing New Game Plus, I picked Kirby the first time, I'm going to stay with Kirby because they got me through the first one, and I'm going to stick with that for this super hard and see where the story goes. Speaking of which, like, you get even more of the story movie if you continue super hard if you continue like New Game Plus, which is cool. So stoked on that, and to get like more cutscenes beyond what I already obtained. And so I did that with like Kirby M super hard, but then I did like another one that I just did hard, New Game Plus, to have that ability to retry. And it's nice to have both. So like if I just want to play road trip mode and like do that kind of carefree and be able to retry things and not be like kind of elbows on the knees, excited, not like white knuckling all of the events to make sure that I'm doing good enough. I just do that with my buddy Rocky. But the super hard mode is interesting to have, where I have there's two different approaches there. So I have my super hard mode and my hard mode. On super hard mode, like when I make my choice of the 3 events that get presented to you, I pick the one that like I know for sure or am most confident that I will beat and be successful at. And then on the hard mode one, I am more in the like collectathon mindset of like, oh, I never tried that boss, so I should complete that boss to get that little like puzzle piece in the collectathon. So it's nice. It's nice to like have 2 saves then and just be able to play. And it's a game that, like I mentioned before, like with all the short, very fast, snappy game modes, like it's motivating to keep playing because it's just little snippets of cool stuff that doesn't take a whole lot of your time or commitment, but it's just fun and fast and throughout. So Kirby Air Riders. I had mentioned last time like the regular star was like my favorite and my chosen like machine, but as of late the kind of like pink lunchbox refrigerator looking thing ended up becoming my unexpected favorite. It's like naturally fast on its own. It doesn't have a boost mechanic, but I almost don't mind. It works really well in Top Ride, and it seems to work with everything. And I like that. With everything, because like it doesn't have a boost, so when you let go of B, you're not flying forward, and especially in the like city areas where you're doing stuff that is more combat focused or having to take out like boxes and enemies and things, like it's nice to be able to stop and then not like go flying out of control forward after you have like landed some sort of attack. One thing of note that I found to be pretty funny is like I thought about playing Mario Kart World again, and I dipped into that, and those are Mario Kart World and Kirby Air Riders are 2 games that you cannot play at the same time. It felt Mario Kart World felt so slow in comparison because it's just less of that like twitchy craziness that's going on in Kirby Air Riders. So wouldn't recommend. I tried, but it didn't really work for me. Couple of things I noticed too, like post game, like online is always a great option, and just to kind of test like your abilities and see how much better you have become or not. And it's so having a good feel for the game now and having some momentum with it, it feels good to play online against other people and just kind of see where I fare. And not only that, but like deep into the game, there's like more tracks to unlock, like post road trip, post, so there's like nostalgic ones from, I think, Kirby Air Ride or like earlier games, kind of remastered obviously for this game. And I've well past the first round of my road trip, but like obviously a lot more to collect. And through challenges and completing those like puzzle pieces, I've unlocked new tracks. So just to further my enjoyment of it. So yeah, I'm really happy to have picked this game up. I'm connecting with it more than I thought I would. I thought like, I know I like Kirby and I know I like the aesthetic and I know I like Kirby games. But I thought the gameplay would be something that I'd really have to get used to. And while it's something I really am clicking with. Like it works for me a lot and it's fun to play. And I think the variety of game modes makes it a game that I'm just happy to have on my Switch, to be able to like just pop into for a little bit and, have some fun with a round or two and just play the mode that I want to play. And then, not have to make it a whole thing. It's just kind of there. Like a lot of games that I really enjoy just to kind of pop in and sesh for a bit. So yeah, that's Kirby Air Riders for now. And then when I come back, I'm going to talk about my time with, finally getting Pokemon TCGP on my phone. And yeah, see you in a couple. All right, and for the last section of the podcast, I'm going to talk about the Pokemon trading card game Pocket, and it's something that I've been well aware of. I've had friends that I talked to last year that were playing it and enjoying it, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, and I just like didn't feel a desire for it, but I really think last year too, like Pokemon wasn't on my radar, and this year has been the year of the Pokemon for me. Not only with the show, I continue to watch Pokemon Horizons, as I've said before, Pokopia, Pokemon games, and now this. And really for me, mobile games have not really been a thing, but as of late with my life, the way it is going, I think having a newborn at home, one-handed stuff is working. And I liked, and not only that, it's just nice to have on my phone. I am thankful for my wife showing me how Google Photos works and being able to put like a lot of photos like backed up somewhere else so that they're off my phone. And that freed up a ton of space. And now I'm able to put a couple mobile games on my phone and be able to have something one-handed to play. And this has been really fun to engage with. Just being excited about Pokemon and keeping the culture alive to be able to go to my phone and open a pack of cards and see what I get. I think early on it was purely aesthetic. It was really cool I got like a really cool Zubat, I think. Hold on. Yeah, I knew that wasn't right. I had to check. A Golbat, not a Zubat. That was like, it's like hand illustrated and very shiny on the back. And I think that obviously was the hook of the algorithm. It was like, let's give this person something really exciting early so that they're hooked. And as of late, some of the opening can be kind of mundane. And that I think is an attribute to the battling system. So once you get into battling, you're looking at cards a little different. But I don't want to say that that's completely absent now. The sort of like aesthetical, like, oh, look how cute that is. Like, that's cool, because it is really cool to have a free app that allows you to participate in the trading card game and collect. Like, I know that all of my quote unquote my cards are in that app and I can look at them whenever I want. It is a sense of like nostalgia for Pokemon cards and the kind of playing with them that I don't think I ever really got to do when I was a kid, because it was like brand new and I didn't really know the rules and how to play. I just collected them and had them, and like a lot of people did. But to to have it now and to be able to collect and just like have on my phone, I think is just a little periodic joy throughout my day, like a collection to keep and look at, and something to look forward to in kind of relaxed moments where just see what I get. And it's been fun. It's been fun to share. It's been cool to like be like, oh look, a Psyduck, or oh look, I got a Magikarp that's hand drawn. And the fact that like Pokemon cards now are just like so varied in style and era, and there's different versions of different ones. So the mystery and the kind of excitement behind that, I think, is cool. Like early on, like I felt like the physicality of the app was really impressive. I liked the kind of haptic feedback of you kind of feel the cards or feel the packs as you rotate them around. It's got a nice physicality to that. Like opening the packs has a nice physicality to it. The sort of like rotating of the card, you can almost like feel it in your hands. They did a really good job of like phone physical feedback to make it feel as real as possible, or to make the game itself like what's the word? Engaging in like a sensory kind of way. And for those of you that haven't played, like the structure of it is that you get to like every 11 hours you get to open a new pack of cards. So I like that structure in that like it makes you wait, or that you gives you something to look forward to. I think good games do that. Say like, well, maybe later, and come back, and then so that gives me a reason to be like, oh yeah, I could probably open a pack now. But they give you a ton of hourglass currency, which can shed off that whole 11 hours if you're willing to spend 11 of your hourglass currency to open a new pack. So I haven't had like a moment yet where I've like run dry and I really had to wait. And you do plenty of participation in the app, and it will allow you that currency to continue to open. I think if you were really like addictive and just wanted to open it and open it and open it, then like, yeah, eventually you run out. But there's in-game purchases or in-app purchases. So if you want to be a gold member, I'm sure you can open more packs a day, and you have all sorts. But not for me. I'm cool with just like whatever they give me, and it's nice to just have and have that excitement of like, oh, let's see what I get. I like too that like with the presentation of the app is great, not only physically but visually. Like I'm thinking of like in battling when it transitions from one person's turn to the other, there's this very beautiful like rainbow hexagon sheen that goes over the playing area that I think is really cool. It gives you frames to put your cards in that you can unlock and like go along with certain cards, so they're displayed in those frames. There's like additional flair that you can unlock to cards to like combo with like a fire type, or if you get multiples of a certain card, you might be able to unlock those. I'm trying to figure out how that works still, but I like the shiny and exciting ones, that the EX cards that you get, those are really cool to get, but I like some of the simple and boring ones too. Like I really liked I think it's like Starting Fields or something, and it's just like a grassy almost looks like a youth soccer field, but it's like an early Pokemon field. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's just like things that continue to build the culture and canon of it in my brain. And really like, it's not like I've been following Pokemon this whole time. I would say like it is very relevant in my brain, and making me happy this year in particular as I'm kind of coming back to it. But there's a ton of Pokemon that exist that I had no idea did. So it's cool to be educated on those. And speaking of education, like I'm very, very thankful. I didn't know that there was like a battle mechanic in this game, and it's really fleshed out. Like there are a variety of difficulties, and it's cool to learn how to use Pokemon cards to do battling. And you can battle online too. I just recently battled online and obtained a victory, and that felt really cool to like have been taught how to play by the app itself and be successful. It was cool. And there are many losses too, to both the intermediate and then other people online, of course. But like I said, it's something that like I never had the chance to get into, and I'd always been curious of, and it's cool to feed that curiosity now for free on my phone and just have it there. I found myself really engaged in some battles, and one in particular I'm thinking of taught me the value of like, it's not over until it's over. I was down 2 points, and if they get a third, then they win. But in battling, some of you may know, with cards, like you can have evolution cards where I had an execute and executor, where I had, what I think execute's like the first one, and I had it in my hand, if you will, or not my hand, my bench. And then I was able to evolve it. And then when I evolved it, it became a very strong card. And that strong card was able to take out the rest of the Pokemon that they had on the other side. And, it felt good to be kind of clutch in that way. And that's something that's, I think, special about the playing of the game, is that like it has those tense moments. I was kind of surprised that it's a lot different than any of the games. Like, you don't have 6 Pokemon and you're just running them until they die and hoping to win. Like, if you let any of your Pokemon or Pokemon cards like drain all of your HP, then the opponent gets a point by knocking them out. So like, that's the more traditional card way of playing, that doesn't match what the games do. So that took some learning. And not only that, but like the use of energy. Your Pokemon cards cannot act without a certain energy that you have to apply to each one. So that was new and cool to learn, and happy again that I have a place to practice that. And not that I think it will lead to any like real collection of cards, because I just don't think I can afford that. But I don't have to, because this is an app that allows me to not only do it for free on my own and to play online. So yeah, that's Pokemon TCGP. I've been enjoying it, and again, a fun to like periodically check in and see what I obtain. And like I said, happy to battle and happy to learn and how to do that. And curious to see how my year of Pokemon continues here. It's been a real source of joy as of late. Obviously, with the 30th anniversary, there's a lot of excitement around it. But I think I'm really like welcoming it back in my life, just for the sense of like the aesthetic, the joy, the nostalgia. But like, there's plenty of places to consume it. There's plenty of ways to keep it in your life. And if it's something that brings you joy, then like, why not? So I think not only like, is it cool to have Pokemon like at home, but when I'm out and about, or maybe having a rougher day at work, or get a break and I'm able to like open up a Pokemon deck, or stack, what do you call those? Pack, not a deck. If you're able to open up a virtual pack of cards and you gather a little bit of joy that way, I think it's cool. It's nice it's fast to do, and it's just nice to check in on. And like I said, a collection to keep, and very thankful that it's on my phone. So that's going to do it for today in this week's episode of Your Friend Who Likes Games. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your continued engagement in the podcast. If there's anything in particular that you want to talk about in regards to video games, you can reach out to me on Blue Sky or Instagram at Your Friend Who Likes Games. If you'd like to chat directly about this episode, I am happy to respond to comments on Spotify and or YouTube, where you can find the show, obviously, because you're listening. And if you like what you're hearing, like and subscribe on YouTube, and give a rating on Spotify if you don't mind. Or if you don't like what you're hearing, either stop listening or maybe give me some feedback. I'm happy to hear that too. But cheers and thank you all. I appreciate you being here, and I will catch you next time. We'll see ya.